The book of Sirach is a wonderful book of a part of the wisdom literature. And so we just got done with the book of Samuel, and we heard the rise and fall of David. And so the book of Sirach really gives us two things compared to the gospel. It gives us the tale of two kings. The first is King David. And so this is quite the list of accolades that David had. Just like the ladies' man, the person that could take lions out, slayed the giant, all that good stuff. But the thing that's so key about this is there's this line, the Lord forgave him his sins and exalted his strength forever. Because even in the midst of his magnanimity, David still was human and a sinner in need of God's grace. And as we read in Samuel, he repented. And then we're presented with another king, King Herod. King Herod appointed to lead technically more of a governor, but lead the people in Jerusalem. But he's a coward. Nothing in the gospel said he would be more pusillanimous than magnanimous, which means wimpy-souled. But Herod was a coward. And even when in the midst of his weakness of drink, he makes an unnecessary oath to his daughter, and he, out of cowardice, kills John the Baptist. And we just see him later on, when Jesus is brought before him, he is also goes the way of the coward. Each of us have those two kings, the opportunity to be one of those kings in our own spiritual lives. Yes, we have our weaknesses, we have our brokenness. But we can choose the magnanimous route of David or the pusillanimous route of Herod. And that brings us to the feast day today of St. Paul, Miki, and companions. Again, as you've heard me say a few times, man, they don't make Jesuits like they used to. Because this was about 50 years after Francis Xavier had gone and brought Christianity to Japan. The Japanese were suspicious of Christianity, and so they had taken, actually it's funny, it's more Franciscans than Jesuits, but there were 3 Jesuits, 7 Franciscans, and 16 lay people that were crucified and then pierced with a lance on this day. And they were killed at the place called Nagasaki, which also evokes some recent memory in the last 100 years, a place of tragedy. But when Christianity was allowed to come back about 200, because that pretty much stopped, Christianity was not allowed to spread from that point. It wasn't until about the 1800s, a couple of hundred years later, when Japan allowed itself to allow Christianity back. The missionaries would come in for a couple hundred years with no presence of priests or the faith in general. Thousands upon thousands of Japanese had been practicing the faith in secret because of the heroic example of Paul Miki and his companions. Each of us have the capacity to be magnanimous saints or pusillanimous Protestants. We just have to choose him and to follow him, even when it's hard.